As you know, the ACLJ, we're an organization, we have fought for the protection, the life of the unborn since our founding. And the most important case, really, since the ACLJ has been in existence, so for decades, at the Supreme Court, that the Supreme Court has agreed to hear. It's out of Mississippi. It involves the state of Mississippi, and it's Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization. One of the main reasons that this case is getting so much attention is the Attorney General of Mississippi. She has specifically put at issue in Mississippi's reply and response to the Supreme Court, to the briefing, a direct challenge to asking the court to overturn Roe versus Wade. It is always a major ask when you're going to the Supreme Court and asking them to reverse a case. Even when you're talking about a case out of the 1970s that on both sides of the aisle, people have said was decided wrong, even if you like the outcome, wasn't really based off a good interpretation of the Constitution, doesn't have good reasoning behind it. That's, of course, Roe versus Wade. So there's a direct challenge here in Roe versus Wade, but a lot of arguments will be made. And you'll see this is kind of an excuse argument, too, that justices can use. Well, we're going to rely on stare decisis. So when you hear stare decisis, when you hear these terms used, and you're going to start hearing this a lot in the fall, because the other side of this will be, court packing, all those issues. They're looking for a case that gives them the reason to do it. And they've kind of got a few in there, but this would be these kind of major cases, like we talked about the voting cases in Georgia. So when you hear stare decisis, just think that's the court saying that's what we did before. That's our precedent. So we have a precedent, but what is bad precedent? So you think about cases that said 3/5, that was okay in our Constitution, and the court actually affirmed that. That was a bad decision, ultimately overturned. So there's time and time again we've seen in areas of our culture, especially when it comes to how we relate to each other as humans. So the life of the unborn would, I think, be the same. But it is, again, you've got to explain to it because the court is hesitant to admit that it was wrong, that it wasn't the right decision, even if it was going to be all different justices, which it will in this case. None of those justices were there serving during Roe versus Wade. So it is them saying that the past courts were wrong. It is critical. That's why it's so important. You're going to hear about it a lot in the fall as this case is heard by the Supreme Court. We filed on it specifically. You can see the brief at aclj.org, but I encourage you, just be educated about this case. It's the Dobbs case out of Mississippi. It is a direct challenge to Roe versus Wade. It is being heard by the Supreme Court, not asking the court. It is being heard. It is definitely the most important case involving the life of the unborn since the court okayed abortion in 1973.